Hey there everybody, it's PotterBrony and welcome to a blind reaction of some MLP Fanwork. This time we have a suggestion. Top 10 things the Crystal Empire did right. By Voice of Reason. The Crystal Empire, I'm assuming, meaning that particular season premiere. Yeah, this comes requested by King Sombra is the best pony. Which, you know, can't agree with, but whatever. To each their own. This is one of the last requests that I had received recently and will not be taking further requests. I have, like I said yesterday in a few episodes, in a few videos, there are a few requests I'm working through and then I'm kind of cutting it off. So, as far as requested videos go. It is just a personal choice. Hope you respect. Don't bother trying to request anything else, really. So, let's just get it started. See what Voice of Reason has in store for us. This is a fairly old video from 4 years ago, almost now. Yeah. Description. After 2 years, let's have a look at what Season 3 premiere did well compared to the Season 2 and Season 1 and 2 premieres. Alright, let's see what you've got to say. It was a good premiere. Alright, starting the video. In 3, 2, 1, and go. Oh, in the link description below, be sure to support the official release.
Welcome back to My Little Pony What Works. You know, it's almost been 2 years since Megan McCarthy's show running took place in the Season 3 premiere. After looking back, the consensus surrounding the Crystal Empire was the episode was good, but not great. And for a time, I was in that camp. Now, I still think it's a good episode, but maybe it's actually better than it leads on to be. I mean, the show has always been improving, most of the time, and it's no different with each of the premieres. One could easily make a case.
What was wrong with that episode?
Better than the Season 1 opener. Hell, with enough respect and research.
No accounting for taste, I guess.
A compelling argument for the Crystal Empire being better than the Return of Harmony.
And no. Let's hear your argument.
Is a better season opener than Return of Harmony and Friendship is Magic. Ah yeah, I just said that. And in doing so, I'm here to make a list of the 10 things the Season 3 premiere did right. Hence the title of the video you're currently watching. With that said, here are the top 10 things the Crystal Empire did better than Friendship is Magic and Return of Harmony. Number 10. Better music. Okay, the bottom 2 numbers of this list are of subjective taste. But if I had to choose between any of the 2...
Better music than the one song in Friendship is Magic?
I'd probably go with the Crystal Empire song. Both songs
that's
better orchestrated, better sung, and more character and story driven. Looking back, Filler's Success is the second weakest song of Season 3, although compared to Behold Princess Twilight Sparkle, it's a godsend. However, it still has pleasant orchestrals playing behind it, better than the early instrumentals of Pinkie Pie's Laughter song. And in the Battle of the Crystal Ponies case, it does a much better job at delivering exposition and moving the plot along than Giggle at the Ghostly ever did. Plus, any song that reminds me of Some Nights by Fun gets bonus points.
I don't know that. But Giggle at the Ghosties, that's hardly fair comparison.
Number 9.
Were they even really trying?
Again, this is more subjective, but I found the humor to be a lot stronger here than the pilot episodes.
Well, they've had time to work on it, so...
Face palm or yell at the screen because some pony was being annoying. Pinky. Megan McCarthy's biggest strength has always been her comedic writing. So, even if you find the story flawed, you can still find the episode endearing to sit through because of the humor.
Fair point.
Number 8. Improving animation and art style. This goes without saying. The animation is always getting better, and the staff is always trying new things. While the Crystal Empire still can't hold a T to the window pane scene from Return of Harmony, lighting is improved in the pilot episodes, the use of shadow got better, camera movement improved greatly, and the Empire just looks beautiful. If a place like the Crystal Empire existed in real life, I'd definitely pay big money to vacation there.
Alright, so your argument so far is essentially
Number 7.
Technical advances in the animation and stuff.
Yeah, here's something people tend to forget. Spike had an active role in the episode. Let's have a look back at the previous 2 premieres. What exactly did Spike do to assist Twilight and the girls in both plots? Well, aside from guarding Twilight and acting as their spam folder in Return of Harmony, not much. Spike seemed to be either pushed aside for the main 6 or did secretarial tasks like filling in Twilight's checklist without having a major effect on the story. In the Crystal Empire, Spike
Fair
had an
point
active
to
role
this
in
one.
assisting Twilight to save the day.
Very
Not
good
only
point
did
in
he
this
help
one.
Twilight out of her nightmare from the door, getting some development in the process.
But to
he
be
also
fair,
helped
only
save
really
the
counts
day
if you
in
really
Sombra
want to
and
have,
the Crystal
if you really want Spike.
with a little help from Shining Armor Striker Field Days coming back to us. Shining Armor was an Obulus and Ogre Slayer. Let me have my headcanon. So, yeah, Spike being active is awesome.
Even if your headcanon goes against the actual canon?
Number 6. A sense of urgency. In the Crystal Empire, our new villain King Sombra is knocking on the Empire's doorstep, ready to take over and enslave the Crystal Ponies once again.
Yeah,
Gaines'
that's
love
fair
of
point. I'll
fighting
give you
and
that
Shining
one.
Armor's shield spell blocked, Twilight, and eventually Spike, are on a time limit to find the plot device to save the day.
Like I was saying,
Now
it's
let's
like,
compare the sense of urgency to the pilot episodes.
I'll talk about it
Cast
later.
Eternal Night Overland so everyone could appreciate it. Now, long term, it would kill a life and freeze the planet in one spot, but currently, nothing seems to be affected outside of the sun taking forever to come up. No significant change was shown to prove that getting the sun back was urgent, like dying plants or ponies freezing their coats off. Also, there was the fact that Celestia was missing, but it turns out in the end she was completely fine. So there was a sense of urgency, but it never felt like much was at stake in the end. Now let's compare the Crystal Empire to the Return of Harmony. Discord has pretty much won in Part 2, successfully corrupting most of the main 6. So Twilight and her corrupted friends try to head back to the library, and they take their sweet-ass time. Once they get back to the house, the corrupted friends start playing Keep Away with the Elements book. And I'm probably the only one that thinks this, but I found a majority of Part 2, with the exception of Discord, uninteresting. Let me try to explain this. The Discord main 5 got tiresome as
You
soon
might
as
be
they
the
started
only one who
arguing
thinks
with
it.
each other on the way to the library. And while Discord still managed to pull out a good laugh, my investment towards Twilight's Dilemma diminished because Discord won. The only reason the plot got interesting again was Celestia stepped in and kept Twilight on the right path. In the Crystal Empire, Sombra's presence was always a threat, always looking down the Crystal Ponies, which is why I don't have as big of a problem that some do with Twilight telling Rainbow to keep the spirits of the Crystal Ponies high. As Twilight said, sure.
If the Crystal Ponies find out that King Sombra is trying to take over the Empire again, their spirits are going to be anything but lifted. It won't matter if I find the Crystal Heart. They won't be able to make it work. You have to keep them happy here at the fair.
Keep the fair going and the Crystal Pony spirits high. Done
Okay.
and done.
It's sidelining the rest of the group, but it's understandable to why she has to sideline them. Because of the constant threat Sombra has on the Crystal
I haven't
Empire.
heard a
Heck,
lot
you
of
could
people
even argue
complaining
that's why
about
Sombra
that,
had
to be
little
honest.
no backstory. Time was of the essence, and Celestia just gave the abridged version of the Crystal Empire's history and magic. What I'm trying to get across is, I'd rather have a plot that wants to prevent shit from hitting the fan than having the shit hit the fan and go through the tedious cleanup phase.
Alright, I'll agree there, I
Number
suppose.
5, a better challenge. So while the remaining 5 try to keep the spirits of the Crystal Ponies high, Twilight, with Spike's assistance, are facing each of the obstacles Sombra threw at them. First, they were finding the entrance, which requires Twilight to use the magic she observed Celestia using. Pretty advanced magic, to say the least, to open the stairwell, and it looks like she was struggling to do so. Next was the door, which also required the evil magic to hold it in place, resulting in Twilight and Spike facing their innermost fears. Twilight's fear of failure and disappointment, and Spike's fear of being sent away. Not only does it present good character development, but it shows Sombra still affects Twilight's plot despite him not directly being there. Then there's a never-ending stairwell. Now, for any other pony, this would be a tiresome challenge, climbing all those stairs from the basement to the peak of the tower, but Twilight gets the brilliant idea to say fuck you to physics and slide up the bottom of the stairs. Inventive and fun. Don't know many unicorns who could do that. Finally, we have the booby trap that prevents
Yeah, she
anyone
is
from
pretty
escaping,
OP.
even by teleporting, which was the moment where Twilight learned the
Not the
rules
most
of
OP
sacrifice. Gotta
unicorn
say, Sombra is pretty resourceful,
in the series
unlike
since,
another
but-
villain who tried to keep Twilight and the others at bay. I mean, Diamond Moon started off giving a good obstacle by trying to kill the main 6, but then it just went downhill. No
Ouch.
pun intended. Manticore attacks them, ends anticlimactically realizing it just had a thorn in its paw. Tries to give them heart attacks by making the trees look scary. Blocks their path via Raging River, caused by a sad sea serpent whose facial hair was messed up. Tries to convince some pony to leave the group, to join a group that represents a spot in nature. Are we sure Nightmare Moon wasn't also secretly testing the main 6? I mean, it's not like part 2 of the episode was subtle to begin with, but it feels like Luna was still conscious of her wrongdoings and making the challenges easier and easier. Ooh, that's an interesting theory. Someone get on that. Well, outside
I always did kind of think that.
Sombra's obstacles were more effective in keeping the ponies away.
They were clearly tests.
Huh, so we have a better
All the
sense of
challenges they
urgency
faced.
and a better challenge for Twilight. Gee, it's almost like Sombra is... Number 4, a better villain. Yes, I just called Sombra a good villain. Now, for those who have stuck around since November 2012...
Yeah, let's see explain this
calling
one, because
Sombra
he's
a
not.
disappointing villain compared to the other big three. But minds do change over time. You learn to appreciate episodes that you thought were once bad, and shamefully hang your head towards episodes you generally thought were good. The same goes with character concepts. Sombra, I used to think, was nothing more than a puff of smoke with no backstory of how he defeated the original queen or what acts he did to the Crystal Ponies. But then I thought two things. One, having a backstory does not mean you'll have an effective villain. Nightmare Moon was the most fleshed out villain up until Lord Tyrek appeared, having the tragic backstory. But her methods to impede the main six kinda sucked. As I said earlier, the tasks were more of a challenge as Twilight with Sombra resorting to advanced magic to proceed to the next stage. Second, maybe we shouldn't know what he did. The mystery makes him even more enticing as a monstrous tyrant. Hell, if it's enough to drive the Crystal Ponies to flee for their lives or wanting to forget the time Sombra ruled over them, I think it's safe to say the guy's a monstrosity that should never resurface again. Which brings me to...
I always thought of him more like a...
Number 3.
And it kind of fits in that.
No anti-climax. How come no one talks about this? This was an absolutely satisfying conclusion to the premiere compared to the other two. In Friendship is Magic, Twilight explains the elements can't be destroyed because, coincidentally, the other 5 ponies she met just so happened to embody 5 of those elements. Nightmare Moon implements the ancient fighting tactic of just stand there and not attack them with Dalek extermination lasers while the plot device does its job. Return of Harmony, Discord got too cocky, not realizing everyone isn't corrupted anymore. And unlike Princess Twilight Sparkle in Season 4, where he initially underestimates the powers of the elements, Return of Harmony makes him out to be oblivious for the last few minutes. In the Crystal Empire, Sombra wasn't...
Yeah, they had to beat him somehow.
...with his hoof up his ass while the plot device was delivered. He actively tried to steal the heart for his own power. He returned to his original form. He almost won. I can't be the only one that's having a heart attack right now.
Alright. Making a lot of good points.
Better story setup. At the end of the Crystal Empire, we get a small hint of Twilight's next phase of development, which has later turned out to be the magical mystery cure spell, thus leading the audience to stay for the finale for the conclusion of the story arc. Friendship is Magic also did this, but it was more of the framing device for the entire series. Twilight just to report back her findings and lessons of friendship to Celestia each episode. In hindsight, this framing device was broken from the start, with episodes having her being told the lesson, or have episodes where she was shoehorned into the story because the framing device said so. Thankfully, it was fixed in the 3rd episode of Season 2 with Lesson 0. Speaking of Season 2, Return of Harmony
that was a good one.
didn't set up anything story-wise. After watching Return of Harmony once again, it feels more like a season finale rather than a season premiere, especially with the letter reading where Twilight reflects on everything she learned in one season, and the ending moral that friendship may be hard, but it's something that is definitely worth fighting for.
That is a fair point.
The ceremony pays homage to the ending of Star Wars Episode 4. After that, it's back to normal slice-of-life episodes. In retrospect, Lesson 0 feels more like a season opener than Return of Harmony did. Crystal Empire managed to set up a story arc for 2 seasons and capitalized on both. And the number one thing that the Crystal Empire did better than Friendship is Magic and Return of Harmony? Better pacing. I sort of touched on this in my Princess Twilight Sparkle review, mentioning the consistency of each part of the 3 premieres prior, but now I'll go in more detail. Friendship is Magic started off pretty good, introducing the characters, introducing the setting of the series, and eventual conflict the girls will have to face. Part 2 seemed rushed, quickly glancing over each element in the most subtle ways possible, and ending with an anticlimax. Return of Harmony had the best start out of the 3 premieres prior, introducing the villain and slowly, but charismatically, corrupting the main 6. However, it dragged in Part 2, trying to find the elements, dealing with the corrupted friends, and also ending with an anticlimax. The Crystal Empire probably had a slower start than Return of Harmony did in its first part, although it managed to introduce our villain, the importance of the Empire to Equestria, and still had time for 2 songs for character and exposition. Part 2 is where things shifted into turbo, but with good reason. Sombra is right on the Empire's welcome mat, and part of him managed to break inside the love and light cadence was spreading. And exponentially, he grows back to his original form with the Dark Crystal takeover. If not for Twilight and Spike, getting the heart would have been pointless. Improved pacing. The number one thing the Crystal Empire did better than Friendship is Magic and Return of Harmony. And that is why I honestly prefer the Crystal Empire to the others. The story structure was better, the setup of a story arc was better, and there was a satisfying conclusion to the two-parter. Now, that doesn't mean everything the Crystal Empire did was better. For example, while learning about self-sacrifice is a very mature moral to learn, Return of Harmony's message was a lot stronger going along with the show's themes. And in hindsight, the test was incredibly complicated. But it's not like Celestia's plans were solid to begin with.
Twilight Sparkle, my faithful student. I knew you could do it.
But you told me it was all an old ponytail.
I told you that you needed to make some friends. Nothing more. I saw the signs of Nightmare Moon's return, and I knew it was you who had the magic inside to defeat her. But you could not unleash it until you let true friendship into your heart.
Right. And how much were you willing to gamble that Twilight would find friends who were the perfect fit for the elements of honesty, kindness, laughter, generosity, and loyalty in order for them to stop your sister causing eternal night and killing off every living thing on the planet?
Well, they later referenced that after this video was made.
Season 3 premiere did better than the first two premieres, or even Season 4's premiere? Post your thoughts in the comments below and start up a discussion. In the meantime, I really gotta start working on that comics thing. Until then, I'm the voice of reason, and I'll see you next time.
Alright, a couple things I wanted to talk about. I'll let this run through. Never really thought of Sombra as a good villain, to be honest. And your arguments here make the point. Is like, yeah, he's a more ominous threat, and that's how he was designed. I've heard him referred to as a as kind of a Sauron analog, you know, just this ominous looming threat overhead. And at that, yeah, he is more effective than the other villains, but that doesn't make him a better villain. In fact, that makes him my least favorite villain. Still does, and just because he's a threat doesn't mean that he's an enjoyable villain. He's just there. He's a nothing. He's kind of like the unnamed fear in the dark. That's yeah, that doesn't make him a good villain in my eyes. But again, that's a matter of opinion, and you have yours, I have mine, and that's the way it goes. But yeah, you made a lot of good points in as to what they did better, but as far as season premiere goes, Return of Harmony will always be one of my favorites. Actually is my favorite. Introduction of Discord. I love villains like that just like to have fun, that are just, like Joker is one of my favorite villains, and Discord kind of reminds me of him. He's just, loves chaos. He is chaos, and that's what's great about it. Is like, it doesn't have to have. I guess that's sort of similar to Sombra, though. Is just the presence of this particular. Well, not really similar to Sombra. Sombra is just this looming threat. Discord is just chaotic for the sake of it because that's what he is. But they make him so much more of an enjoyable villain. Yeah. As far as other points, like, yeah, they utilize Spike better in this one. Fair enough. But that only really counts if you want Spike to have a bigger role. And to be fair, I don't hate Spike. I like Spike, and I agree with you there. But I'm just saying, you said it too. Matter of opinion. Some people's opinion would be like, well, that doesn't mean much. That doesn't mean anything. Not mine. You raised a lot of good points, but still didn't sway me as far as it being better than, yeah, it did a lot of things. It did some things better, and Return of Harmony did other things better. I don't have time to think about everything on it. I'm not going to make a list like you did and overanalyze everything. As far as the overanalyzation of things, when you're comparing it to, like the first one, you're comparing the songs. Like, come on. Yeah, of course it had a better song, because they've had more time to work on this stuff. Yes, of course it had better animation, because they've had more time to work on this stuff. They've gotten into their groove, you know, for both those things. Yeah, a sense of urgency and everything, and all the more mature themes that you mentioned that did better than Friendship is Magic. Yeah, of course. When the season premiere first started, when the series premiere started, they weren't expecting more than 6 to 10-year-old girls watching the show. Not really. I mean, I saw, shouldn't really mention what I saw, the show Bible, so to speak, but I saw parts of it where it goes, they were going to make the show so that a lot of people can enjoy it. Parents, older siblings, but the target on it, what they're really focusing on, is that niche that they had, and they had no idea that the show was going to go to what it was. So when you're trying to make that kind of comparison, yeah, it was better, I'll give you that, than at that particular aspect, but they weren't even trying with the first one, you know, it wasn't something that they really wanted to get in there, if that makes any sense. But now I'm rambling, so yeah, I want to thank you all for watching, hope you enjoyed that. Sombra is still my least favorite villain, and I'm getting this one here. Until next time, take care.